Monday evening, Monday, November 3rd. Thanks for joining us.
All day long.
We toast
November 3rd.
We had a toast. We had a toast. I didn't have shit. Welcome to this special, somewhat impromptu edition of Liberty Without Compromise. Tonight we're going straight to the source. We're joined by someone who's not just talking about Spirit Lake's future. He's been living it, leading it, and working behind the scenes on everything from the city's infrastructure to its growth plan. The current mayor of Spirit Lake, Jeremy Cowperthwaite. Now, for those who don't know, Jeremy's called Spirit Lake home for nearly his entire life. During his 4 years as mayor, he's overseen major projects like the completion of Wells 5 and 6 and the new Spirit Lake Water Tower. And he's pushed through long overdue updates to the city's comprehensive plan, the traffic plan, and impact studies. He says his leadership is about facts, not opinions. And tonight we're putting that to the test. We're doing it live in real time with your questions. So here's how this is going to work. As we talk, drop your questions right into the comments section below. We're going to pull them up and ask them live, right on the air, whether it's about growth, water, downtown businesses, or even some of the rumors floating around online. This is your chance to get real answers from the person currently holding the seat. So grab your coffee or your whiskey and settle in. Let's talk about the facts, the future, and the kind of leadership Spirit Lake deserves. Here's your host, first of all, Dan Wilson.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us on this special edition of the Liberty Without Compromise, episode 43. I see we have a note there. Hopefully we've got that audio fixed.
Oh,
somebody says can't hear over the music. So hopefully you can hear this. Yes,
Sorry, I had a bad mix.
We have a
Sorry,
special guest tonight. As you all know, we open up Liberty Without Compromise to all candidates that are open to coming on to share about their campaign. We are not endorsing anybody here at the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast. However, we are offering, and now that window's closed since tomorrow is election day, but we have opened up to anybody that wanted to come on that's running for office to share with you, the viewer, exactly what their positions are and why they are running. And tonight, this special edition, we do have current mayor of Spirit Lake, Jeremy Cowperthwaite. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on tonight and being with us. Are you nervous being that this is election eve?
No, not really. No.
Well, it's Jeremy Cowperthwaite. I practiced it, so I'm jumping in and I'm going to say it right.
What, did I say it wrong?
I don't know. I think
Was I not paying attention?
You said it wrong.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor.
There's a TH in there after the W. It throws everybody down. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I've been practicing it all day.
So you have been the current mayor for the past 4 years?
Yes, sir.
So give us a little background on how you came to be mayor of Spirit Lake. Obviously, you were elected, but what prompted you to first run, and why are you continuing to pursue this office?
First, I held a 2-year seat on city council before I ran for mayor. Before I even ran for city council, I spent many years at home, friends and family complaining about things, how things were going, why things didn't change, why things seemed to be unfair across the board, equal for everybody. We are governed by rules and laws and ordinances, which are the laws in the city. And it didn't seem that everybody was being held to the same standards. And after years of complaining, it really was shared with me that I had no right to complain if I didn't make myself available to try to be the change, help make the change. And so I ran at overwhelming success at the last election. And I really ran, and I'm currently running on the same concepts as I did when I first came in, and that's unity and camaraderie. There was so much dissension in this city between departments, people from the top down. There was just a huge disconnect, and I really believe when problems arise, the problem's at the top, not the bottom. The finger's always pointed. And so I succeeded. I am very proud of the last 4 years, because as far as the city inner workings of what goes on, the things that people don't really see of how the city runs, it is running just flawlessly. Everybody getting along. There's 18 employees, and I don't think we have one problem, really.
We're currently talking to Jeremy Cowperthwaite. He's the mayor at Spirit Lake, running for re-election. And I want to remind you, you're joining us live tonight. Be sure to share this feed to your page or profile so that more people here in Kootenai County can get in on this conversation. And again, you're going to do that by putting the questions and comments right into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. Now, one of the things you've said, Jeremy, is that your leadership is grounded in facts, not opinions. What does that look like day to day as mayor, especially when you're faced with strong disagreements or rumors in the community? As I know, I mean, yeah, in any community, that's what happens. That's what's going to happen.
Yes, stay off of social media. That's one way to get around it. Is don't watch it. Don't try to chase the ones that there has to be an end game. So if there's questions, concerns, problems, the administration is wide open for people to bring any issues to the administration to see online. And again, I don't follow social media anymore. Haven't for about 2 years now, since a lot of this garbage has started. And it's brought to my desk, and I see a lot of it. And Facebook is not fact book, people. Opinions do not make you right. I try to empower people in the positions to do their jobs. I don't need the control and power, because I'm not the professional in those job descriptions. There are facts to all these rumors. We have put out many rumors, such as our bankruptcy. There was a big rumor going around on Facebook about our bankruptcy. We put all the documentation out, and on some of these, which I reference squirrel pages, that bring this information out, when the facts are brought out or when they're questioned, people are removed from those sites. And that's proof in itself. When you ask for proof of what you're saying or what your opinion is, I don't bat anyone for an opinion, but when you're promoting it as facts, you have to bring something to the table. That is where, biblically, I believe it's called, we're judged by our fruit, not what we say, but what we do and the result of what we do. So if you're going to say and say and say, you have to bring something with it. So all of the proof of everything that we need to debunk or whatever, we don't have to chase that on social media. It's here. Most everything is public record. So if you want to know the facts, ask. They're here. And I'm glad you did tonight, because let's ask the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the transparency. What are some of these accomplishments that you have alluded to? I know you're talking about the implementation or getting the wells, 5 and 6 up and running, but give us a little background on that and some of the other accomplishments that you've achieved there in the city past 4 years.
I guess the first accomplishment started on the last month I was on city council, before I became mayor. And at that council meeting, our city engineer presented the water plan, the water plant plan and the sewer plan, and he shared with us some of the rules and laws that govern some of that, such as DEQ has this rule with our water system, or with any water system. You take your largest pump offline, what's left then is what you will serve your city as. At that time, we had one well, well 4, the only viable well to serve the community. So by my deduction, if you took that offline, 0 is the number. We technically should be serving nobody. And so I asked the question, am I understanding that correctly? And a representative from DEQ was at that meeting in the audience. And so it went on. And so I asked the next obvious question: whose job is it to say, timeout, no more? Is it DEQ's? Is it the engineer? Is it the mayor? Who makes that call to stop the bleeding, which has been this proverbial kicking the can down the road for many years that I'm aware of? And so at that meeting, I've apologized to the 2 contractors that were here to get their mainline water extensions approved, and they were halted at that point because someone had to stop that process. Well 5 went in, tank 3 went in, and now we are about to fire up well 6. So we are moving well forward on fixing the problem.
Can you clarify where things stand with the wastewater treatment system? And especially that, since some of the other candidates in their campaigns have mentioned that as a pressing issue.
Yes, it is a pressing issue for growth. It's not a pressing issue with current. There's no issue with supplying sewer for who is living here, but to grow, and for those properties within the city boundaries that are owned and not built on, those people, the city has a responsibility, a promise to provide water and sewer to those properties. And if you keep kicking that can down the road, you're irresponsibly managing the city. So started back about 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, a 160-acre expansion to expand our sewer treatment plant, more specifically the water disbursement of the sewer. And that is currently being developed. We are in the plan development. We got the land, and now we're in plan development to expand that.
Where's that land located at right now?
North, it actually the corners butt the current sewer plant. And so it will be piped under the highway, and it's north in Bonner County, right adjacent to the current sewer plant.
Got it.
A little bit ago, you had talked about transparency, that all people need to do. You don't need to be on social media to get answers. Everything's right there in the office. It's accessible to the public. How transparent is Spirit Lake's budgeting process to the public? Do you think the city could do more to communicate its financial picture? Talk to me about that.
I'm not sure. I said this at a previous meeting. I'm not sure how much more the city can do. You can't chase 2,500 people, 2,500. You can't chase everybody. You put it out in the paper, you put it out on our social media site, you put it on the front door, you have all the open meetings, you've got workshops which are open. The same 3 people show up every single time. It's the lack of involvement of people, the lack of self-responsibility, that instead of complaining about things like I did for years, I'm just as guilty. You've got to come and be involved. You've got to come and watch the process. It's done right in front of them. That is the job of our city council. Their job is the finances, and we do it in the public.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It seems like sometimes people are so disinterested with actually having to do a little bit of work that they expect everything on a silver platter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Couldn't say better.
Yeah, I think some people just like to be contrary as well. I mean,
yes, ma'am.
I think there's that. So anybody in a leadership position is kind of forever up against that.
Now, Ellis Wyatt has asked this question. He wanted to know Have you, as the city, ever considered annexing Spirit Lake East? What do you say?
There has been always conversation of annexing and growing and expanding the boundaries. But first off, that would be a very irresponsible move when we can't put water and sewer to who currently live or own property in Spirit Lake. There is no reason why, other than ability to supply the promised services, there's no reason to not annex more properties eventually when it's conducive to do so.
What about taking over? Follow-up question by Wyatt. Taking over road maintenance. Can you guys even do that, or is that up to the county, or what's that look like?
Is that in Spirit Lake East still?
Yes.
We couldn't. I don't think there's a legal avenue to take over anything that is not in city limits owned by the city, as far as right of way and easements.
All right. Thanks for that question, Alice.
Tell us something that the average resident doesn't see, but you wish that they understood. I know I've been to town halls where elected officials, they'll say, you just don't understand how it is. Maybe that's not the right statement to lead out with, but what's something that you wish that the average citizen understood about local government and how Spirit Lake actually functions that they just might not see?
As far as Spirit Lake government currently under my authority, we do not want control of their lives, their property, their businesses. Some of the questions at the meet and greet were how the city can help businesses and do that. Government should not be involved. We have rules. We have processes. Dot your I's, cross your T's, do your thing. They want to see how much the city, and in the direction of the questioning, I feel, they wanted to see what the city could do to help that, what the city might be able to do. And I think one of my opponents responded with a business consortium. And, that's a private group, if you understand the definition of a consortium, not a government-led group. We have a chamber of commerce, and yet we have businesses coming, businesses going, succeeding. There's just as many successful businesses as failed businesses, and they want to blame. They always want to point the finger and blame. And who gets the blame? City or me personally, which is absolutely ludicrous because I can't do anything to make their business succeed or fail. There's nothing I can do. That's their economy. That's the type of business. That is, that's a risk that business owners take. It's, I guess the biggest thing I wish people would understand is the first thing we need to do when we have a question, a concern, or a problem is look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Assess yourself. Where are you coming from? Where is the root of the problem? What's the end game? What's your end goal with the concerns, the problems? There's got to be an end game to all sides of this. And that goes with the online stuff. There is no end game except destruction. And find the truth out. Do real fact checking. Don't ask Google. Don't ask Facebook. Ask the people that are sitting in the seat. I am definitely not a politician. I'm not politically correct by any means. I wanted to succeed at unifying and empowering the people that are already here, the professional leaders in their roles, and I've succeeded. We have a fabulous team right now. The people really need to know they have a rock solid city staff right now.
Speaking of city and staff, you were there during a pretty tumultuous time with public safety, meaning the Spirit Lake Police Department. And yes, there's been quite a transition that has transpired from when you took office 4 years ago with the implementation of a new chief. What can you tell us about that and the overall success that you've seen and how it is currently looking with Spirit Lake and its ability to maintain law enforcement services to the city?
I'm not sure where you want me to start or end. We are at bare bone minimum staff, which is 8 officers. We have 24-hour coverage. If one person's sick or needs vacation, it kind of throws a wrench in there. So that's what I mean by bare bone.
Sure.
So Spirit Lake's covered. I don't know if everyone knows. I'll try to brief everybody. It started back when one of the previous chief of police. I was not comfortable in the trust factor to be able to appoint the man in the position that the council, which I wholeheartedly agree with, made an appointed position. So that started a chain of events that decreased us down to 1 officer standing with 1 administration staff. And that's also started the snowball of these attacks, these online attacks. All of this stuff stemmed from that officer's statement to a certain person that runs a Facebook page of, and I quote, "It's time to take the gloves off and go after Jeremy and Michelle." That statement brought, this hell down upon this administration. The accusations, and again, we have facts. There's statements of, the clerk has sued the city and got this large. There is no record of the city staff suing the administration.
Yeah.
We have since hired Chief Moreland and putting the right person in that seat and giving him the authority to do his job, letting him make the decisions as the chief of police, grew this thing in record time. I believe you might remember or recall the Sheriff Norris came and said you would be 18 months at best. I mean, if you even could, and was absolutely hammering us on not being able to do it. I think if I remember the dates right, he stood this place up in 4 months.
Yeah. And I would say that as I had run for sheriff last year and had a chance to speak with the chief and to his lieutenant, I was more than extremely impressed with their ability to bring their years of service from Los Angeles and to come out of retirement to help buy into your vision and city councils on law enforcement and to watch the department grow to the professional standard that it is. And I think that from what I've observed, things are running pretty remarkably smooth for the size of the city under their leadership.
Yes, sir. And you used a word that has proverbially come to be known as a bad word, Los Angeles. I will caveat that with, they did not bring the Californian ideology. They did not bring that mentality. And where a person is from is not a problem. It is the politics. It is the ideology. It is what they left coming into small town America, which is helping to destroy that small town atmosphere. The politics in Spirit Lake this election day, this election season is it's unprecedented. I don't know that it's ever been as it is this go round or as dirty.
What's driving that, do you believe?
Again, I said there's got to be an end game. There is no end game except destruction, hatred. Most of the stuff that is brought to me that's posted online is just hate speech. There is no, I don't understand it, Dan. I don't get what moves a person. And I'll use an example. If I can drop the names because they claim to be who they are.
Yeah, by all means.
Lynn Cole is one that claims to be the bringer of truth and the bringer of information. And she was hammering this police department, hammering our chief and our lieutenant with what she was stating as facts, what she was stating in her opinions as truth. Well, the lieutenant shared with her some of his background from Los Angeles. It said online, I believe, personnel. He didn't share any personnel information. He shared his own rap sheet that you get when you leave the Los Angeles Police Department, and it's your disciplines, it's your kudos. There is no disciplines, and basically he proved to her with the facts, with the caveat, I understand, that she will correct what she was saying online, and she did. But the same correction has to go all the way back to that original statement of taking the gloves off and coming after me and my clerk that was said to her. That's where it started. She would have to rewind, because the same person that shared the information she was claiming was true came from that same source that told her to come after us. So you would have to automatically assume and at least seek the truth in all of what she thought she understood. And again, the facts are here. It's all documented. It's a public record.
And this is, you say, Lynn Cole. And
Yes.
she obviously has made these statements. This isn't just hearsay. This isn't just you bringing up other conversations privately. These are posted to community Facebook pages. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. In fact, again, I wouldn't say anything I don't have proof of. It's brought to me. I have it. And again, if her heart's in it for the right reason, kudos to her, but prove it. Proof is in what I think that that God says we are judged by our fruit, the wake we leave behind us. That's what we should be judged by, not what we say, but what we are doing, and the fruit, the end game. Why? What is the end game?
We're talking with Mayor Jeremy Cowperthwaite, Spirit Lake. He's running again in this election. Election day is tomorrow. And you share this. We're live right now. Share this to your page or profile and get involved in that comment section. If you're coming up with questions as this conversation with him is unfolding, put those right into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. One of your challengers has pledged having quarterly town halls and open public comments at every city council meeting. How do you feel about those ideas? Would you support that?
I was the one that first brought them. The first year I was here, I had town hall meetings and I had public comment. I brought it back. I was the one that brought them back. I was also the one that shut them down. The same people we're talking about, the just the hatred and the personal attacks on city staff repeatedly, not city business, not issues in town, not things, the streets, or nothing that council should be addressing. They are the legislative branch of the city. They are in charge of ordinances, resolutions, and budget. That is the primary goal of the city council. Being the administration, I'm 24 hours a day, 7 days a week available to these people. My phone number is out front. There's 3 clerks out front that have my calendar. They could set appointments up. They can come and talk to me about anything, anytime, any day. So nobody is.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, the public town hall, public comment sounds like hasn't been real effective. You brought it back. You had to shut it down for good reason. It sounds like same handful of naysayers coming, and it's not productive.
Absolutely.
That which my next question to you was you somewhat answered this, but what then is do you believe would be the most effective way when somebody has legitimate questions that are going to push a conversation forward that you've got answers to? What's the best way to do that if it can't be through the public town hall? And I think you've already answered that in a couple different ways.
Yes, and I'll be very direct. The process is very clear. Bring your questions, concerns, and comments, anything you've got, to the city administration. Me, bring it here. If it's something that needs to go before council, I put it on the agenda. Okay, the mayor makes the agenda for the city council, and we address city business. if most things are easily fixed or understood or explained with a sit down with people and explaining, it's happened a couple of times, and they walk out of here fully knowledgeable of understanding of how it works and what the process is. It's not a city council issue, so you don't waste the time of the elected officials that have an actual job to do.
Yeah, lots of moving parts, aren't there?
Yes, sir.
Now, one last question before we turn it over to you for closing comments is we've observed, and I don't know firsthand, that you guys have had challenges with the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office in sharing of resources and outrageous charges. Has that settled down, or what's your perspective right now with the relationship with the city of Spirit Lake and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office? And I know that's a blunt question. You can answer that however you need to.
Well, I would like to back up a little bit on that question. I reached out when we were down to that single officer. I reached out to the sheriff's office for his assistance. We are a city in his county. We were bleeding artery in the police department, and we needed law enforcement help. It appeared that was not the way that our sheriff received the information, and it felt very much like a pounce, like a control thing. And I was very, very clear with Sheriff Norris from the beginning. I needed his help. It's not something we want to contract with them. Spirit Lake wants its own police department. And so it feels he has distanced himself from us. And it's very hard, my understanding, very hard for our law enforcement team to actually get the help and assistance still from the sheriff's office from the top. I understand some of the deputies, they have jobs to do, but they have to listen to their chain of command. And
Sure.
There have been some incidences that really seem like there is an issue there that I don't understand. I haven't reached out to Norris to understand where he's coming from. I don't have the desire to, because of what transpired and how it transpired. And Spirit Lake and myself have done nothing to Bob Norris or the sheriff's department. We're team players. Our Spirit Lake Police Department have no problem assisting them when they need or if they need. Brings us to the idea of these deputization cards that the sheriff holds over our heads. They've taken them away and would give them back for two different reasons that have since been succeeded, and we still can't get them. And a deputization card just means that they can go outside of their jurisdiction to enforce law or whatever. But there's, again, a peace officer in the state of Idaho is a peace officer in the entire state of Idaho. Life or death, they can practice law in the entire state. They're not.
Yeah, it's been odd because, as you know, these deputizations from Sheriff Norris have extended to agencies in Eastern Washington to include Spokane Police Department, Spokane County Sheriff, Liberty Lake, and even federal agencies. But for the folks that don't understand how that kind of works in Idaho, technically now larger counties to the south and Ada and Canyon have gone to basically a memo of understanding with other agencies. But in Kootenai County, they're holding to the old model, which means that the sheriff himself has to, or the undersheriff have to swear in outside agencies in the county. So Spirit Lake Police would be one of those, and give them special deputization cards that would technically allow them to go outside of city limits to perform police functions. One of the things that bothers me about this, prohibition of the Spirit Lake Police Department of having these deputization cards is technically, I live about 5 minutes from your guys' city, and if something is going on in my neighborhood and I need law enforcement right now, and county is way far south, I would be absolutely okay. In fact, I would want a nearby Spirit Lake officer to respond. And so it's been odd that for now, at least 2 years, Sheriff Norris has taken that away. So anyway,
I'll give you, if I may, on that, Dan, an even worse scenario is on the other side of the bridge down at the lake. The bridge is the county line. So everybody that lives around the backside of the lake, our county and our police department and our police officers sitting right here. They have to wait that 30 minutes or 49 minutes or whatever it takes for an officer to get there from county when we're there in 2. But we can't.
It's plain absurdity. It boggles my mind. Politics, all right. Speaking of politics, have you interviewed or did you ever participate in the KCRCC's vetting and rating program?
I did. Can I speak on it just a little?
Please do.
I do believe I knew from the beginning when they sent out their questionnaires that they were not going to vet me because their questions I would have to answer truthfully. And on one particular question, my response was, I do not believe that today's Republican and Democrat parties are what they used to be. I think lines have been crossed, lines are blurred. There are candidates that they have supported. I do not in any way, shape, or form believe that they are the Republican ideologies and the Republican stands by the fruit that they have produced, not by who they are, not judging a person. I'm judging what they have done and in the time they have been here and the candidates they have supported and continue to support. And those were my answers. I answered truthfully because I'm an honest man. And I knew they were not going to vet me.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good reminder to those of you viewing that we have been saying this for the past year. That KCRCC card is not it. You must go through the candidates yourself.
Yes.
And look at other sources. You don't just rely on vote down the line are Republican that the KCRCC does continually. In fact, I'm surprised that they got involved in these nonpartisan races. It seems pretty bizarre to me, especially since last year they claimed that they can only support Republicans when Jeff Tyler with the KCRCC said, you know what, I'm personally endorsing Dan Wilson for sheriff, who, I was running as an independent, but they couldn't do that. He got lambasted all the way from Dorothy Moon down to the local level, and yet they are absolutely having no qualms entering into these nonpartisan races. So I encourage those of you out there who have yet to cast your vote, they're going to go out tomorrow, and you must go out and vote. Yes. Look up the candidates and find what they have to say, and if they align with your values. Don't just vote for somebody because they're Republican.
Right.
Here in just a minute, we're gonna give you all some resources on how you can do that, because that's been an ongoing question. People say, if not for the KCRCC, where do we go where there's consolidated information? And we're gonna let you know that. Jeremy, you've said, I want to wrap this through to a positive note and then let you take this where you want to go with anything you maybe haven't been able to speak on tonight. But you said you want to continue bringing people together. What does unity look like in a time when local politics, even at the small town level, as you've been discussing, has become so divided? What does unity look like for Spirit Lake?
Unity looks like, Dan nailed it. Do your homework. Come and want to know. Don't rely on our own understanding, our feelings, our emotions. Know the facts. Know what you're getting involved in. Know what people have done historically, not what people say, but what people have done historically. And if you really do your homework and ask the right questions, the answers are there.
Yeah, indeed. We really appreciate you coming on tonight and, letting us know more about why you're running again and your accomplishments. What closing comments do you have to say as far as anything that we didn't cover tonight or anything that you want to leave us on?
As far as doing your homework, facts, fact-based checking. And I made the statement, council's responsible for $80,000 of attorney's fees in the last 8-9 months, maybe year. Hundreds of thousands. We've lost iCRMP due to people like Lynn Cole and previous council. Some of the candidates are directly responsible for that. Our council president's wife sued me for her water bill, cost us $19,000 because of overages. That's your city council president's wife. That is fact. There is support by Charlene Phipps, one of the other candidates, supporting those actions. There is leaked executive session information. That is private information, confidential information, attorney-client privilege information that gets leaked out by an individual or two that gets out into the public for no purpose but destruction. An individual on a city council does not have the right to do so. There is an active AG investigation into those. Those are not, that's a fact. Those are still ongoing investigations. But these are the truths that you need to look for. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect human being. There is none, short of Christ himself. But my name is on one water bill lawsuit that came by the council president's wife. That's not even my responsibility. This administration has not cost the taxpayers money. Individual people and some of your council members have cost tens of thousands of dollars. They cost us the loss of iCRMP, our Idaho Risk Management.
I had no idea.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that same Lynn Cole name was from two executives in iCRMP named as one of the reasons we lost it. The previous council was named as some of the atmosphere of what was going on and the abuse the staff was getting. They couldn't support or back, so they had to step out. And these are the facts.
So iCRMP, which is the Idaho Consolidated Risk Management Pool, self-insurance for state, subsidiaries, i.e. the cities. So you guys have no more iCRMP coverage citywide or just specifically for one case?
Citywide on personnel. We have it on buildings and things like that. We have iCRMP for
HR is no longer covered.
HR is no longer covered.
Wow.
And that was that abuse that started with the comment, it's time to take the gloves off, go after Jeremy and Michelle. Again, what end game? Just hatred and destruction. Another thing is we have a voice, we vote, and that vote is going to have an end result. The consequences that come from that vote are on the voters. They have got to do their homework, and they got to come out and vote. People have got to go to the polls, but do your homework. It's not hard. I live here. I work here. Do your homework. The facts, I've got them laid out in front of me.
What's the best way to get in contact with you for anybody who's rewatching this live stream tonight, not necessarily sitting on here live? Phone, email, what's the best way? You just want them to show up?
Absolutely. Okay. Show up. My cell phone is on 24/7, 208-597-0679. Call it. Again, administration has my calendar, and I believe that a good mayor that really does their job and promotes their role doesn't have to be in this building micromanaging everything. If your leaders are empowered to do their job and feel secure in doing so, this place should run like a well-oiled machine. And it is. It actually is right now, contrary to false book or whatever else you want to read out there. The city's running very smooth, moving ahead on every single one of its plans they've never had. 20-year-old comp plans are supposed to be updated every 5 years. Their facility plans, the transportation, they're all being updated or currently are updated. The city is moving forward, and it's a slow freight train, but it's finally moving forward in all aspects.
Awesome. Well, Mayor, thank you so much again for taking the time to come on and to share about your campaign. We wish you the best of luck. Stay strong and of good courage, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you so much for what you guys do. I appreciate both of you. Thank you so much for having me.
God bless. You know, that was current Spirit Lake Mayor Jeremy Cowperthwaite. Did I say it right that time?
I think you got it.
Holy smokes, I'm embarrassed I said it wrong the first time.
Huh.
You know, regardless of who becomes mayor tomorrow, I do want to say that I personally love the city of Spirit Lake. We go up there quite a bit all year round to enjoy the city. Some great places in there. Of course, one of my favorites is Stella's Stogies.
That's right.
Right there on Main Street. And across from there is a couple of establishments that we may or may not partake in adult beverages from time to time. But the city is a great hidden jewel here in North Idaho. And it's the far, I'm going to call it, probably Hauser would disagree, but it's the far northwest city in the county, at least the furthest north and west. But yeah, you guys need to do your homework. Tomorrow is the big day. Now, we have a couple other questions, or I should say at least one, that came through on Twitter. And it wasn't related to Spirit Lake. And I'm going to do my best to answer this. This came from 29 Palms Lab. Who are the best candidates in Hayden? As I said before, we are not endorsing anybody in Hayden. But here's what I will personally tell you. I have a major problem with candidates who, given the opportunity to participate in other non-KCRCC surveys like Watchmen Ministries, when these candidates who are professed believers and part Republicans snub organizations that are doing surveys like Watchmen Ministries. If you're too good to do that, if you have it in the bag because of this KCRCC mafia, then I would urge people to look and find out go to Watchmen Ministries and find out which Hayden Council members, candidates rather, are not part of that survey. And that should tell you something about it. I will tell you that Sandy White is somebody that I think is a coward. I personally feel Sandy White is a coward. She threw a massive fit because she came to one of my meet and greets with her husband last year when I was running for sheriff. She knew that video and photographs were being taken, and we happened to post a photograph where it showed the top back of her husband's head, and she had a meltdown because she was upset that the KCRCC was going to find out that she had attended one of my rallies, or it wasn't even a rally, it was a town hall.
Yep.
My belief is if you're that big of a coward that you can't stand up to the KCRCC mafia and you cannot withstand the heat of Republicans in your own party, you're probably not well enough suited to face the pressures of being in the seat of the city council.
Well, I think she had the right idea initially. She wanted to come hear what you had to say, because that's an ongoing problem in our county where there's I forget what Jeremy, what he called it. It wasn't fake, but one of those. He had a better name for it.
Yeah.
But rather than what's circulating on social media, Sandy White had the right idea by taken the effort to come to one of your live town halls to actually hear what you had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go wrong after that?
It went wrong when she got caught doing something that wasn't sanctioned or allowed by Brent Reagan and his his cronies there at the KCRCC. So
That's
my
the problem.
personal opinion, and we're not endorsing anybody, but I'll say that Sandy White is a weak individual to have in the sitting in the city council. My belief, if she can't withstand the heat. The other thing is I think that there's been a lot of smears that have gone on some of the other city council that have been pretty well debunked if you actually go to the sources. I think that, again, Luke Sommer should have debated at DePriest. I think that absolutely should have taken place. I think that when you have candidates that do not have to campaign, they have lots of money being thrown at their race by outside entities and PACs, that tells you everything you need to know. And the KCRCC mafia does not require any of its candidates to debate. They're so full of free speech and republicanism, but don't let them fool you, folks. It's all a lie, because their candidates, most of them, my belief is when they stand next to their opposition, they would be quickly found out to be the inept, inadequate, deficient, poor choice candidates if they were allowed to go one-on-one. But Brent Reagan and his group, including Bjorn Handeen with McShane, they're not going to allow that because it would expose them too much.
Before we wrap up tonight, we had mentioned Watchmen Ministries, North Idaho, and we want to highlight that they are a great local resource helping voters make informed decisions. That is the comment circulating all over. I see it constantly. Again, if the KCRCC is not, if it's not it, I mean, I think people have been stuck believing it's the only voter guide, even if they're not necessarily understanding it as, hey, they're recommending candidates. They've got a vetting process. What do I know about their vetting process? They're using it as a voter guide, unfortunately, and probably a lot of people not understanding why are they getting involved with nonpartisan races? And that you asked a very good question.
They're a freaking bunch of hypocrite liars, all the way from Dorothy Moon down, when they chastised Jeff Tyler, who's part of the KCRCC board. In fact, Jeff Tyler lost his seat as PC to the North Idaho Republicans, in large part thanks to Bob Norris, who illegally allowed the Deputy Sheriff's Association, their PAC, to illegally use the Cooney County Sheriff's badge
no consequence
in their endorsement page. And Jeff lost his seat, but Brent, my understanding is, was kind enough to allow him and Beverly Gwinnett, who also lost her seat, to sit on as some special appointed committee members. I forget what their exact.
Made a committee.
But the problem is that Jeff Tyler, who I think is a good man. I absolutely love Jeff Tyler. I've been on Jeff's boat. He's a good man, but he and I are at odds right now because of this vetting process and this endorsement. He came out last summer and broke with the KCRCC, and he said, you know what, I'm supporting Dan Wilson for sheriff. And within 48 hours, he had to take everything down because Bob Norris and Brent Reagan, the little bitches that they are, whined and complained to Dorothy Moon, state chair, and Dorothy Moon told Jeff Tyler, you can't do that, reverse it. So again, I absolutely, you guys are a bunch of flaming freaking hypocrites when you take a man and say he can't make his own endorsement on his own time because the person he's endorsing isn't the official Republican nominee, but yet you guys can jump in, because I wasn't a Republican, but yet you guys can jump in as a KCRCC and put your noses into all these other nonpartisan races. Now, coming up two nights, we're going to have our regularly scheduled Liberty Without Compromise broadcast. And we have quite a show for you. You're going to want to make certain that you have your calendar clear, because you're going to hear part 2 of the pastor Paul Vannoy and Davaloo Cummings. What would we call it? It's not transcripts. It's them in their own words. It's their video recordings.
It's a never before heard actual recordings as proof. We had presented the transcripts in the past, the beginning of the year, But we are bringing the proof and letting you hear these people in their voices themselves. So I want you to understand, we're not just here to talk about elections. We're not here to talk about candidates just necessarily. We're here year round, every Wednesday night, 7 p.m., because we are exposing corruption in those political power players, elected officials, these political social influencers who are extremely active. They might get a little quieter after post-election, but as soon as the next cause or thing nationally comes up in the circuit, they're right back at it doing their work. And that's why it requires us being vigilant. So just because an election happens, comes and goes tomorrow, and the outcome is the outcome, that's what I've started to say. I'll say these are the results of the election, but I mean, the outcome's the outcome, and I can't control that. One thing I want you to do, because I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Watchmen Ministry, but I want you to hold that voter, that thing. I almost said it wrong. Hold it right up close to your face.
All right.
I'm switching to your camera. So I want you guys to take a look at this. And I started to say this earlier. We misunderstand a look at this KCRCC, this thing, this card. Got to hold it close to your face because it doesn't autofocus there. We tend to look at this as a voter guide. But this is where I want to make an important distinction. Okay, I'm switching away from you. We get it. We all got one of those things.
That was uncomfortable.
That not you were. It was like it was like being a kid and getting called up to help with.
I thought I was working for Bob Barker lesson. For a second. Jeepers.
Hold it. But that is not a voter guide. And that's where I think people go wrong. KCRCC has their own process of vetting, which we have exposed on this show. It is a messed up process. So what's the alternative? Where do you go? Where do you go when you need, okay, who's running? What are my options? And I need a quick overview to see who aligns with my values. And that's where Watchmen Ministry comes in, because they are the solution to that. They are not recommending candidates. They don't have a vetting process where they're then telling you how to vote. What they've done is they've interviewed them, and they have answers to questionnaires that you can put up side by side. And then you can decide which of these candidates aligns with my values. Now, when I'm hearing them in their own voice, is this stuff coming from their head and their heart, or from their experience? Are they reading off of cards? What are those things that are going to matter to you? Watchmen Ministry, North Idaho, the QR codes up in the corner of your screen, that's going to take you right to their voter guides, because that's what they are. That KCRCC card is not a guide. That's them putting their people butts in seats and telling you how to vote.
Buying elections. They are buying elections, folks. My personal belief, they are buying elections, and most of the sheep that call them Republicans, you're lazy. If you just go down the card instead of researching those that you get to cast a ballot for.
Watchmen Ministry North Idaho, they were founded in 2019 by Daniel and Elsa Owsley. People have asked us, well, who are they? What is this? Watchmen is a faith-based, nonpartisan organization. They're not funded by anything else. They are dedicated to this work and dedicated to educating and equipping voters across North Idaho. So they don't tell you how to vote. They simply help you understand where the candidates stand on issues that matter to our communities and our values. And since 2020, they produced voter guides and video interviews for every local election cycle. That's giving you direct insight into the people running to represent you. So if you want to see those interviews or download those voter guides, you still have time to do that before you go to the polls tomorrow. Their website, watchmenministrynorthidaho.com. So you need to get informed, get equipped. That's the way to do that. Get out and vote tomorrow. watchmenministrynorthidaho.com. And if it's easier for you, just use your camera on that QR code up in the corner. It'll take you right to their voter guides.
Never tell you are a smooth operator.
I don't know, except when I'm asking you to help in an object
you're way more articulate. It just flows. Me, I just kind of like all over the place, and I can't remember what I thought about before I said it. And lastly, so the show on Wednesday is going to be very long. It's going to be all dedicated to the Paul Vannoy recording, along with former Homeland Security agent Davalou Cummings, whose husband also was a former federal agent, now working for Sheriff Norris's volunteer helicopter program. And they're embedded directly with Paul Vannoy very closely, and all sorts of other things in the county. You're going to want to hear them in their own words to find out exactly what Paul Vannoy and his group of ill advisors, Stephanie Fetzer, Aaron Barnard, and the likes, and exactly what he is vying for and playing for right here in Kootenai County. He's not the man that he claims that he is on Sundays. You guys are going to find this in greater detail. Those of you that were already shocked at the last phone conversation, you're not going to want to miss this one coming up. Now, remember that lastly, that I keep saying this because I'm getting all too many updates. Lastly, 5 times.
And then we keep going.
Let me remind you too that Donna is very close. We may release it this week with her in-depth investigation into political operative Stephanie Fetzer, and that one I've already seen the coverage, and I can't wait for you to see it. It is a masterpiece. Those of you, again, that are in the community and you see Stephanie Fetzer, who's Paul's right-hand lady from all appearances, you're going to want to see exactly what she's been involved with. And you're going to ask yourself, why has Paul Vannoy been associating so deeply with this woman? This has been an investigation that has taken a very long time. Okay.
Yeah, that has. And then the thing to ask yourself is, as we're revealing these tapes on Wednesday with Paul Vannoy and Cummings, whose name previously we had protected, and we're just not doing that anymore. Why is Pastor Paul Vannoy surrounded and advised politically, which ends up being, I'm just going to call it religiously, I mean, spiritually, religiously, but I'm not saying necessarily biblically, but by three women.
Mm-hmm.
That does not sit well with me. It is a known thing, and we have evidence of it. We have evidence of it because these tapes that we're releasing on Wednesday, and then there's continued evidence of it as we release this longer form documentary expose on Stephanie Fetzer and why that matters, where she comes from, what her experience has been, and how she got tied in so quickly, like straight into the political scene here in Kootenai County. Is it just because she's an expert? She's a political advisory expert. Look, she's been so successful. Look what she can help us do. She can help us destroy our opponents.
Yeah, we're going to expose Vannoy also for his lie that he stated 2 weeks ago at his Wednesday night gathering at Candlelight, when he alluded that I went on a against him spree, a smear spree against him, countless hours over the past year because he wouldn't endorse me. Hey, Paul, I'm going to remind you again, not one time did I ever ask or insinuate that I cared about your endorsement. So once again, a lie. Now, remember, tomorrow is Election Day. And in the words of the founders, you get the government you deserve. You elect the government you deserve. So choose wisely. Lots of good candidates out there, some real turds. Make sure you don't put those turds back in office and or elect them. So
the reason we're still talking about Paul Vannoy, and he's chastised us from his pulpit, a certain individual dedicates countless hours to me as he's puffing his chest. Well, we're going to expose lies. And if you're okay with Pastor Paul Vannoy being an outright liar, being one thing in what he thinks is a closed meeting, but he's been caught, and then saying other things from the stage that suck you in and make you'll cry with him, you'll laugh with him. It's emotional. He quotes scripture. I get it. I understand the appeal, but we are exposing him as a liar. We're going to continue to do that. Even if he chastises Dan Wilson from the pulpit, that's what we're going to do. So join us on Wednesday, because that's the focus. If you're okay with him being a liar, I mean, I don't get that.
Stay strong and courageous. We'll see you 2 nights from now. Bring your favorite beverage and a stick to smoke. You're going to need it. God bless. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. Visit our website to watch past episodes, replay any of them, and view exclusive reports like these ones we're talking about tonight on the Kootenai County political power players. That's at libertywithoutcompromise.com. And for our podcast, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. Also, remember, Like and subscribe to the various channels. YouTube is an important one because all these live stream episodes are archived there on our YouTube channel. That's at the Idaho Sheriff. Oh, we had somebody all whipped up tonight. Why do you call yourself the Idaho Sheriff when you've never been a sheriff?
Because I am the people's sheriff regardless, because somebody has to be standing up for the people, even if unofficially, in this community. And I am that person for you. I will not stop. I will always stand for the people. I will be the interposition between all of you and an out-of-control local government. I appreciate all of you. And by the way, that was Gerald Wallace. And you know, Gerald Wallace, that was bitching online, just so happens to be a Kootenai County Sheriff's deputy.
What?
I'm so shocked that Gerald would be upset. UFOP boys are over the top, man. Over the top.
So am I to believe, Gerald, you're not going to invite us for a ride on your boat? Like, is that where we're at? Come on, man. We'll see you Wednesday, 7 p.m.